been here long enough. Is this a different week as far as the guys battling for roster spots, and does the urgency get cranked up at all among those guys, or is this kind of business as usual for everybody?
I mean, it's training camp, and we still have another game to get prepared for, and I still think there's a lot of battles and positions to be fought for. So we're attacking it the same way we have up to this point.
Speaking of roster battles, you got the, for like running back, for instance, you have to put those guys in extra positions this week as far as special teams and whatnot to help get a gauge for how that's going to shake down next week.
Yeah, I think everything's important. Every rep these guys get, whether it's on offense, whether it's in one-on-one, whether it's in on defense, every rep these guys get is absolutely critical for them.
With your top line guys, how much do you start focusing on week one prep this week? You said this is kind of a regular season type week schedule. Is that forward thinking at this point, or is it still just camp grind?
I'd say there's a balance there in terms of you never want to get too far ahead of yourself, but there's certainly things that you know that you want to maybe focus on going into early in the season, not necessarily even on week one, but the first part of your season. So there tends to be a little bit of a focus from like a coach's standpoint. It's not like we're out there saying, hey, we're going to run this against whoever, but you're mindful of what you have to get done specifically early on in the season.
Is Rashawn Gary ready for team stuff yet?
That was the plan we talked last night. I have not gotten any updates this morning.
How about for Stokes? Is he ready to get going?
No.
Mike, you have to end up on pup to start the year. I realize we're
I'm not going to make that. That's out of my wheelhouse.
It seemed like Saturday was the most confident we've seen Jordan Love. That's something you usually attribute with reps and getting more experience. Obviously, the last couple of years, Aaron was here. How do you kind of fill in those gaps as a coaching staff when he's not getting as many reps as another young quarterback might?
I think he's been pretty confident all along. I don't know. I guess you guys have been watching it through a different lens than me, but so I feel like he's been confident all along. He was confident last year, and he's been confident since he got back.
Coach, recently he's shown you he's an undrafted guy trying to make this roster, and what do you like about what he gives you?
I love his competitive spirit. I love how he goes out there and competes, whether it's in the run game, it's in the pass game, and certainly we've got to give him more of an opportunity and to showcase what he can do on teams, because as a young player in this league, many times that's how you get your first crack at it, to build that trust from your teammates, from your coaches, to go in there and handle more responsibility. But I think, in a short period of time, he's done a nice job. But you can never rest easy in this league. You can't take a breath for 1 second. You got to keep pushing, and that's our job too, is to continue to push him. He's still a very young player, and he's got a lot to learn. But I think up to this point, he's done a pretty nice job.
Matt, what's the level of concern for Tavarius Moore's knee injury?
It's more day to day.
Rich discussed on Friday how the loss of Ty Davis for his special teams. Have you guys had a chance now to try and figure out how to reinvent all those snaps?
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. He contributed so much. First of all, he's a big guy that can really run, and so yeah, it's gonna be multiple people that have to fill in his role. But he was an integral part, obviously, on teams, but also he carved out a nice little role for us on offense as well, and that's a tough hole to fill in terms of just doing all the little dirty work that is often required of that position, whether it's cross sifting or whatever it may be. But he did a really nice job, and we're definitely feeling the effects of that, and we're going to need people to step up and try to fill it as best we can.
Matt, what have you thought about Anthony Johnson, and what is his biggest challenge, right at this point now?
I think he's done a nice job. He has the athleticism that we're looking for. You could see his range, covering from basically the post all the way to the red line. It's shown up a couple times. It showed up for Cincinnati in the preseason game. It showed up last week versus New England. So I think, a good young player. He still has a ways to go in terms of just, football acumen and what we're asking of all these guys to do. But we need to see more progress, I would say, on teams.
You mentioned some position battles, guys, going for those final spots. Is there any of those battles that surprises you at this point that you would have not expected to be as close going into the final week of the preseason?
I mean, there's a lot of them out there. You got to give me specifics.
And nobody stood out to you?
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's supposed to be really hot tomorrow. Do you have to adjust practice today or Thursday to compensate, or are you just gonna kind of go about business as usual that way?
Yeah, we're gonna adjust practice tomorrow, so we'll probably move it up a little bit. I saw that heat index supposed to be around 100 or whatever. So initially we were gonna practice at noon, but it'll probably be more around the normal training camp time, whether it's 10:30, 11, somewhere in that vicinity. I'm guessing 11 o'clock.